Daniel Reed was a 42-year-old taxi driver in New Orleans, known for his warm heart and unwavering respect for veterans. Unlike other drivers who treated their job as just a means to earn a paycheck, Daniel loved what he did because it allowed him to serve his community. He had been driving his yellow cab for over 15 years, and he knew many of his regular passengers by name. New Orleans had a rich military history, and Daniel often transported service members and veterans. His own father had been a Navy officer, and Daniel grew up understanding the sacrifices these men and women made. He kept a small American flag on his dashboard and always made sure veterans felt welcome in his taxi. Every morning, Daniel started his route at sunrise, picking up Navy personnel heading to base, veterans going to the VA hospital, and workers commuting downtown. He knew which stops had elderly passengers who needed a little extra time to board, which veterans preferred to ride in silence, and which regular riders needed a friendly conversation to start their day. Daniel's boss, Mr. Langley, always scolded him for being a few minutes behind schedule. The schedule matters more than small talk, he would say. But Daniel knew better. He remembered how his father struggled after coming back from service, and how a kind word from a stranger could turn his whole day around. One humid August morning, Daniel was running his usual route when an older man in a worn-out coat hailed his cab. Daniel noticed something different about him. His quiet posture, the way he subtly scanned his surroundings before getting in. These were habits Daniel recognized from his father. The man sat silently in the back, but at the next red light, a group of young professionals in tailored suits gathered outside the cab, waiting for another ride. One of them, slightly drunk from the previous night, sneered at the older man through the window. "Hey old man, this isn't the retirement shuttle. Maybe try the senior bus next time," one of them chuckled. Daniel watched in the rearview mirror as the man sat motionless, gripping his hands together to steady himself. The professionals continued laughing, making snide remarks about the man's appearance. Then, one of them reached inside the cab and knocked the man's hat off, revealing a deep scar running across his forehead. "Look at that," one of them laughed. "Now I see why he hides back there." That was enough for Daniel. He put the cab in park, turned around, and glared at them. "Either apologize to this man, or find another cab," Daniel said firmly. "We're paying customers. You can't do this," one of them protested. "And he paid for his service to this country with his blood," Daniel shot back. "So, apologize or walk to work in this heat." Grumbling, the men backed away. The older man retrieved his hat and continued looking out the window. At the next stop, however, Mr. Langley was waiting for him. Someone had called the taxi company to complain. "In my office." Now, Mr. Langley ordered. The meeting was short. "You can't refuse service to paying customers," Mr. Langley said. "I don't care what they said or did. You're fired. Turn in your keys and leave." Daniel wanted to argue, but he remembered what his father had taught him about dignity. Without another word, he handed over his keys and walked out, head held high. What Daniel didn't know was that another passenger had filmed the entire incident, and the video was already spreading across social media. Within hours, it had reached thousands of people, including Navy personnel at the nearby base. And the quiet veteran? He wasn't just any veteran. He was Admiral Thomas Beckett, one of the most decorated Navy officers in the country. By that evening, the entire military community knew what had happened. Admiral Beckett had earned the Navy Cross for his extraordinary bravery, saving multiple lives during a mission overseas. That scar? He had gotten it while shielding his men from an explosion. And that morning, he had been riding the taxi to see firsthand how veterans were treated in the city. The next morning, hundreds of Navy officers and veterans packed the city council meeting. They demanded justice for Admiral Beckett and for Daniel. One by one, service members stood up and shared stories about Daniel's kindness. How he always went out of his way to ensure every veteran felt welcome and respected in his cab. In the face of overwhelming support, the taxi company had no choice but to act. Mr. Langley was fired on the spot for his mistreatment of a decorated veteran. Then, the company made Daniel an offer to return to his job. But the veterans had a better idea. Pooling their resources, they made an offer to buy the taxi company themselves. The owners, moved by the overwhelming response, agreed. Thanks to one taxi driver's courage and the unbreakable bond of the military community, the company was placed under new management, veteran management. The first change? They dedicated Daniel's former cab to Admiral Beckett, honoring both him and Daniel for their actions. Every driver was now a veteran, carefully selected for their commitment to service. And in the back of each taxi, 2 seats were always kept open, a tribute to those who had sacrificed so much for their country. On the one-year anniversary of Daniel's Brave stand, the new taxi company unveiled a tradition. Every year on that date, all cab fares would be donated to local veteran charities in Admiral Beckett and Daniel's names. It was a powerful reminder that courage and compassion create lasting change. Daniel continued his work, now leading veteran outreach programs, ensuring that no hero in his city was ever treated with disrespect again. And when his daughter, Emily, turned 18, no one was surprised when she applied to be a taxi driver on the very same route her father had once driven. With the same kindness and unwavering respect, she greeted every passenger, ensuring that all veterans felt valued, just as her father had always done. Kindness is the true measure of a person. Doing the right thing doesn't always come with instant rewards, but it leaves an impact that lasts a lifetime. When we give without expecting anything in return, we create a legacy far more valuable than money. And that is the currency that never fades.